after 7 p.m., the Wednesday, January 8th, 2025 Conservation Commission meeting will now come to order. The first item will be the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wait, let me just have that back on. Okay, the next item on the agenda is entitled Vice Chairman's Remarks. I requested that be put there because I wanted to talk a minute about our outgoing chairman, Lou Napoli. Lou has decided to retire from town government service. He's been at service to the town his entire life. Lou is a graduate of North Andover High School, class of 1971. He's a lifelong resident of town, and he's got a lifelong business in town. He's a second-generation Napoli trucking here in town. Lou joined the commission in 2005, and he became the chair in 2010, so that's 14-point-something years as chair. The town owes Lou a great debt of gratitude because what makes the town work are volunteers. This is a volunteer government, participatory government. Everybody's a volunteer with the exception of a few professionals that occupy town hall. He served as a member of the Booster Club, the chairman of the Booster Club. He was a member of the North Andover Athletic Association back in the days when it was a fledgling organization, trying to get a football team out at Grogan's Field. And as chair, he oversaw some very controversial projects, not the least of which was the Amazon project, which was once known as Lucent, once known as Western Electric. He devoted a whole bunch of personal time to doing site visits and observing conditions and reporting back to the commission. He was a true asset. So, Lou, I hope you got the TV going. I hope you got the right channel. I know we all owe you a debt, and we want to thank you. And enjoy retirement.
Yeah. Cheers.
With that being done, item number 4 is election of officers. I believe we have as much of a quorum as we're going to get tonight.
Yeah. So I'm happy to make a nomination, if I may.
The floor is yours.
I'd like to nominate Al Manzi as the chair of the commission.
I second that nomination.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And it appears to be unanimous. I appreciate it, and I accept your nomination. And one of the privileges of being the chair is you get to pick your vice chair, and I wish to nominate Jack Mabin, who is not here. He's in absence, and he cannot object. So, Jack, if you're watching, I'm nominating you right now as vice chair.
Seeing how Jack's not here, I will certainly second and with pride nominate him for the vice chairmanship.
Nomination and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. Jack, you just got a job. You can thank me later. Okay, we've gotten through all the administrative stuff without a glitch so far. Item number 5, the approval of minutes from December 11th. Looks like they're not ready for approval. So we're going to move on to certificates of compliance, and first we're going to go with the continuation requests. 2421672 Lawrence Municipal Airport request to continue to 3/26/25.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
I'm abstaining for that one.
One abstention, the record will reflect. Everybody else is unanimous. 2421058 20 Nutmeg Lane, request to continue to 1/22/25.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous as well. Which brings us down to, under certificates of compliance, brings us down to 2421823 292 Candlestick Road.
So for the next 3 certificates of compliance, the project consultant was unable to attend. His wife is just about to have a baby any second now, and people in his office were either committed or unable to attend this meeting as representatives for those 3, but I actually feel very comfortable presenting and recommending issuance of all certificates of compliance. So I didn't see a problem, but I wanted to let you know that representation wouldn't be here. So, I mean, if there is a glitch, then we can always continue, but if you want me to just move
If
forward.
nobody from the commission has any objection, that sounds fine to me.
I have no objection. It looks like it's
Short
pretty
agenda, great
straightforward.
idea.
Sounds like it's all yours, Amy.
Okay, all right. 292 Candlestick, 242-1823 was an order that was issued in November of 2021, and it governed the installation of a 12-foot round above-ground pool to be 45.4 feet from the BBW, to receive a wooden deck extension with stairs, and a 6.7-to-1 ratio of mitigation plantings for the waiver that they sought for a pool to be in the 50. A 2x2 dry laid fieldstone wall along the edge of the 25 was required as part of the mitigation. Plants have been installed and they have been monitored for the required 2 years, and they have reached their required 75% overall survivorship. The fieldstone wall was actually constructed a little bit further away from the wetland than originally proposed, and it ended up connecting to the existing railroad tie retaining wall, so there was going to be a big gap there. So it's actually nice that they connected, and they're actually further away from the wetland than originally permitted. The pool is 45 feet from the wetland, so 4 inches off, but I think with our receiving more of a no disturb zone, I think that offsets it. Let's see, crushed stone was placed under the extended deck and around the pool perimeter. You'll see that footprint, but that's outside the 25, and it was in lawn anyway, so it's all pervious. So I'd recommend issuing a full and complete certificate with ongoing conditions as prescribed in the order.
Marissa?
I don't have any questions.
Joe?
No questions.
No, sir?
Brad?
The wood deck that's shown in the 25.
Oh, that was discussed at the hearing. That was something that was constructed long, long ago. The commission didn't have a problem at the time with it. But,
They
I
came
mean,
in front of us and we didn't mention it. We didn't think about
Yep.
that after that.
no. Yeah,
And actually, part of that buffer zone enhancement area was put in that area
Yeah.
to deliberately protect,
Right.
you know,
To
offset
help,
the
right.
deck impacts.
right.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we grant the CSC for 242-1823, 292 Candlestick.
Motion and a
Second.
motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Give the second from the, sorry.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Just a note, Jamie, I will not vote unless there's a tie.
Okay.
So whenever there's a vote, the only time that I will vote as chair is to break a tie. All right? So I don't know how you want to work that into the... All right. 2421890, 230 Webster Woods Lane.
You would need to cast a vote in the event that we don't have a quorum.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking as well.
Yeah.
Even if it's not a tie?
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding. I guess we're going to amend that then.
Alrighty. 230 Webster Woods Lane, this was an order issued in May of 2024, and it governed the removal and replacement of existing concrete walkway and patio around an existing in-ground pool with paver patio surface. A small expansion of the patio was proposed along the southern end of the patio and alongside the shed. The existing fence was proposed to be relocated in that area as well. The existing shed was to be replaced with a 16 by 14 in the similar location. Pool liner was to be replaced as well. Work took place within a 100-foot buffer zone to the isolated wetland and 100-foot buffer zone to BVW that contain a vernal pool, all within existing footprints. Nothing got closer to the wetland than what already existed. Other than inclusion of a crushed stone, cobblestone border, and landscaping strips around the eastern and southern sections of the fence, all of that was outside the 75. No other deviations were noted. Site stable, erosion control is installed, removed, and wetland markers are up. So I found no outstanding issues. Recommend issuing a COC with ongoing conditions.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we grant the COC for 242-1890, 230 Webster Woods Lane.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. NACC number 301, 81 Paddock Lane, Hamilton.
Alrighty. This order was issued in March of 2023, and it governed construction of an in-ground pool, associated grading, retaining wall, and driveway edge, at the driveway edge, paver patio, fencing, and pool equipment. Work was within 100-foot buffer zone to an isolated wetland, but all outside the 50-foot no-build zone and all within existing lawn. The order was modified in August of 2024, allowing for the construction of a second section of retaining wall along the easterly side of the pool, and then squaring off the fence in that area. Crushed stone was added to the northeast corner between the patio and the fence, but it was within lawn and not within the 25. Visited the site, erosion controls are removed, site's totally stable. No outstanding conditions or issues, so I recommend issuing a certificate of compliance with ongoing conditions.
I just have one question, not really related, but in the picture, I know that all these blue things are for pulling down the pool cover. Do you know what's stored in there?
Oh, I think it's
Is it
water.
water?
I think it's water.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Until the first time it thaws, until they frozen, then it's spilling water.
It looks like they need to get their loop locks into the,
Yeah,
to connect them.
Good. John?
No question.
Brad?
Oh, so the only good deviation was the gravel strip?
Just a little corner of gravel. Yeah.
Although it does say kerosene on those blue containers.
yeah.
Kerosene.
Explosive or.
Not in blue, kerosene would be yellow.
Yeah, I was gonna say yellow. Yellow, kerosene is yellow.
Oh, it says explosive.
Sorry, explosive
That would be red.
No, it says explosive.
or corrosive.
Well, it'll fall into their pool.
We have to move to continue this one till we find out what it says.
Yeah.
I move that we grant the COC for 81 Paddock Lane, NACC number 301.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? None. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Small projects, there's only one, and it's requesting to continue. NACC number 337 is requesting to continue to 12225.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. That continued. We move on to notices of intent. 242-1905, 155 Christian Way, Kilcoyne.
Alrighty. This project entails the construction of an in-ground pool, associated concrete patio with perimeter stone infiltration trench, perimeter fencing, demolition and expansion of the existing rear deck. Work to take place within the 100-foot buffer zone to BBW, but all outside the 50-foot no-build zone, so no waivers are needed. Norse Environmental delineated the wetlands. Conservation staff reviewed those flags in the field and made no adjustments. Construction access will be off of the neighbor's driveway and to the side yard. We have email correspondence between the applicant and his neighbor to that effect. Dewatering detail and location and stockpile location are called out on the plan. There were 3 trees that were identified during our site walk that do need to be removed, either because I think they all pose a hazard, actually. Some of them are not. One has a rotted center, so, but they're outside the 50. So, other than that, Steve Stupinski, the project consultant, is here if you have anything else to add or questions
We'll see if
from
there's
you or
any
him.
questions, Steve. Bruce?
Yeah, I just had one question on the concrete pool deck. Is that set flat or does that have pitch to it?
Is it what?
Is it flat or is it pitched towards the pool or towards the trench?
The deck will pitch away from the pool.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's all.
Jules?
No, I don't, actually, it looks like a pretty straightforward proposal. I mean, they're using the neighbor's driveway for access for construction, but there's, I mean, I take it for granted there simply is no wetland on that side at all.
No.
Nothing showing off site?
No.
Okay, then I'm all set.
No questions?
We just look at the infiltration trench here, trying to figure out where it's going. Is the infiltration trench just wrapping around the patio? Is that what I'm looking at?
Sorry, what was that?
The infiltration trench?
Yes,
Okay.
That's just wrapping, it's
Yep.
just a trench
Yeah.
around it.
trench around the outside, yep.
Oh, it's only 15. I'm all
That's
set.
gonna be 12 foot wide by 15.
Wow.
12
It's only
inches
15
by
inches deep, but
15.
look at water table. I saw that depth. I'm not worried about it.
Amy, do you have any questions?
No, we have a detail for that, okay. No, I don't.
I mean, we haven't discussed, but we always condition, the type of chemicals and the type of backwash filters, and where they're stored.
Right.
So we should probably have some discussion so we can get them into the decision.
Yep. So pool equipment is going to be at the rear corner of the house, the rear right corner. That's where they're proposing it. And in terms of the type of filtration system that we allow for pools is the cartridge type. So we don't want a backwash system where you shoot out water, during cleaning, the fins or whatever for the,
I've already told Mr. Kilcoyne that, and who's here this evening, and he's told his pool guy that, and the pool guy has that on the pool plan, so.
all right.
Yep.
What is this 12-inch diameter pipe? It's off to the left of the pond here. It's got invert 157.11 down to 153.75.
Yeah. I think that's a foundation drain.
Oh, okay. Is it just existing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Weird.
Yeah, the original construction access was way too tight up against the, along the detention basin and between the house. So that's not correct. It's gonna be in the driveway. Neighbor's
We're still in discussion unless everybody's good. No more discussion? Let the record show there are no abutters. We're ready for a motion.
Move that we close and issue a decision for 242-1905-155 Christian Way.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Closed.
Thank you.
So what happens from here is I draft a decision, a permit decision, And at the next meeting, they'll review it and vote on it, and then I'll issue it out. And there's gonna be a whole bunch of pre-construction requirements that you have to follow, but we'll walk through that once we get to that stage. Let me, I think I could probably write a tree removal letter for you for those, because those are hazardous. Yeah. So I can do that. Yep, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And congratulations, Mr. Chairman, on your election.
You're a gentleman and a scholar, Steve.
We won't lock you up.
We won't lock you out.
Steve,
Thank
Steve
you.
and I went to high school together at Central Catholic High
Yes.
School in Lawrence, so. We were issued simultaneous beatings by Brother Marcel.
Not that you didn't deserve them.
We didn't do. Yeah, we had a shave. Next time you come here, you'll be shaved. Enforcement order violations. 242-1787, 135 North Ramp Road, requesting to continue to 12225.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, and that's unanimous, it's continued. 1055 Salem Street, Rodriguez.
Alrighty, so, this was an enforcement order, issued, I believe, in, October, no, July of 2022. And it was for disturbance within the 25 by cutting of sapling, shrubs, and yard waste dumping. We required a restoration plan. They engaged Mission Wetland Ecological, and they produced a replanting plan that we were happy with, and they monitored, they oversaw the restoration installation and monitored for the, it was actually we only required 1 year, but they actually monitored for 2 years. They have their final report that's in your packets. 75% overall survivorship was achieved, and the herbaceous layer is really dense. The area off the road leading to the 25 has also been left alone, and that's all growing up and naturalized. So I would recommend lifting the enforcement order as the directives have been complied with, sites back in compliance.
No questions?
No questions.
Questions?
I move that we lift the enforcement order for 1055 Salem Street.
Second.
Motion and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Okay, the next item on is the oil spill at Foster Farm in Mosquito Brook. I asked Amy to put this on. I'll give you real quick, 30 seconds why I wanted it on. Clean Harbors was hired by the company that spilled the oil. Their insurance company hired Clean Harbors to conduct the cleanup. It was a very protracted project. The Clean Harbors was very slow at getting there. We had to encourage them to do a lot of work. Now, here we are, two full years later, and all the booms and all the matting and everything that they used in the cleanup, both on town property and on private property, everything is still there. I asked Amy to make contact with Clean Harbors. She did. They told her that, essentially what they told her was, the insurance company has told us there's no money left for this project, so we're done. So I just wanted some guidance from the commission. My idea was that we give an enforcement order to Clean Harbors, but Amy spoke to somebody in town building, and they said, really, you have to go back to the owner of the truck that spilled the oil. So real quick, if we can, let's just try to give some guidance, develop some guidance. We have to do something. We have a 2-year-old oil spill, which still has booms and mats and residue of oil on not only on our property, which is the Foster Farm, which is a substantial area, but also the residents of private property, 224 Foster Street. There are booms on that side upstream, and people have been asking about it. So we need to take some kind of action, whatever action we can take.
So second to the last item in your packets is a draft enforcement order that I prepared for your consideration. Just something to look at and talk about if you would like.
Thank you for doing that.
throwing around for discussion, or ideas?
This is the commission discussing it and giving guidance to Amy, approving or disapproving or modifying the draft, or are we sending it to the wrong people? There's different opinions. We have to do something.
Yeah.
Because not only is it town property, but it's property that's under the direct control of this commission since the town bought it. And, you know, I haven't been very happy with Clean Harbors, and I've been vocal about it, but I don't want that to interfere with,
Yeah, that's exactly where I was gonna go, is the reason they ran out of money is because Clean Harbors milked it dry until there was nothing left.
You know, don't take for face value that they actually ran out of money, just because they said it.
Just say that, exactly. I think we there was an emergency action, there was an actual filing. Did we do, only through an enforcement order?
Only enforcement.
Only an enforcement order. So yeah, the responsible party is the
oil-
oil company. There's no question about that.
Right.
But I can tell you that just from where we sit, the presentations we were given, it seemed clear to me that Clean Harbors motivation was to do the bare minimum as quickly as possible, and had really little, to stop the spread of the spill, and do nothing more. And it wasn't until we as landowners and the commission were concerned about the impacts of the habitat and required things to be done. And the reason why they spent, they ran up the bill, let's leave it at that, whether they're out of the money or not, it's immaterial, is because, in my opinion, Clean Harbors didn't have a clue of what they were doing. They poorly represented their client, I would say that, because before us, they certainly did. And in the end, I think they're culpable for something, if not at least ridicule. And I think giving Hilton Oil, Fred Hilton, us another whack is not the appropriate way to do it. But we got to find a way to get it through him or his attorney or his representation to go after Clean Harbors. It's theirs.
that was my
It's
question,
theirs.
was what's the legal way that we have to follow?
And I'm going to defer. I mean, maybe I'm sure my colleague Sean has an opinion and an idea on this, but I think out of fairness, it's Clean Harbors who's the culprit here, and not Hilton. Hilton was involved in an accident, and they, in good faith, thought they hired the right people to do the right thing, and they just never did. Never got the money's worth.
Did you have to put up a performance bond or anything like that?
No,
It was an
Not with us.
Enforcement order.
Enforcement order based on a motor vehicle accident. Truck overturned,
Unilaterally.
In fact, I think it's 2 years ago today, isn't it?
2 years ago, yeah.
I think it's today. Is it January 8th?
Might be.
It was early
It
January.
was January.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was
24th,
the most,
2022.
I think I was one of the most vocal critics of Clean Harbors. I'm sure I aggravated them. But it wasn't without a lot of thought. They didn't, you hit the nail on the head. They didn't really do anything. They took over a month to get the booms in. And I remember telling the representative, this is not the North Sea. This is just a little brook. You can walk in it. He was afraid that his workers were going to fall through the ice and drown in a 3-foot deep brook. But anyway, legally,
Yeah, I mean, this is the right step, I don't know if you've named Hilton Oil appropriately, because I'm sure it's incorporated, so it should end in Inc.
Okay.
or Corp. or something like that.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, going after the responsible parties, the direction to go in. Is it possible to assert a claim under an enforcement order against Clean Harbors? It's not the low-hanging fruit. I mean, you'd have to be very thoughtful about what the basis would be, that they placed their equipment in a location and then just simply abandon it. That may be a violation within itself.
and in fact, the
Right.
representative that Amy spoke to on the phone from that company said to her, well, the insurance company doesn't have any more money to give us, so we're all done.
Do we have a copy of their contract?
No.
No. Because, I mean, I don't know about insurance companies with this, but I just know from like auto insurance or whatever, you get in an accident, the insurance company says, we'll give you $5,000. If it costs $7,000, they'll work with you sometimes, but you're responsible for covering the gap. So I don't, how do we, I guess legally we don't know all the money things that happen behind the
Well,
scenes.
Hilton was the insured party,
Yep,
and their insurance company, or them with their insurance company, hired Harbors. Harbors, we had a site visit out there. Jack and Amy attended the site visit, and Harbors told both Jack and Amy, hey, listen, per DEP, we can utilize natural attenuation on this project. So they, from the beginning, had no intention of doing anything. All we're asking them to do is take the booms out that they installed. No,
So again, I think this looks, and I think your language looks good. I mean, just a couple typo things
Yeah.
like semicolons
Sure.
and stuff like that, but I think your 4 bullet points, the bullet points that you
It's
want, I agree with $100 fine, you gotta have money for
yeah,
compliance.
started
And,
going.
you know, it's life. There are a million people that get sued or pay judgments when it was somebody, a subcontractor or somebody that did the work. And that's kind of it. But are there grounds separately to go after Clean Harbors, you know, under an enforcement order? There might be, but it would be much more creative. For today, I'd say this is a good start.
So
We
go
could
after
follow,
the
we could
actual-
follow the Owl Guthrie approach and fine them for littering.
Well, I mean,
You can do a lot of,
That's what I'm saying.
Say that again?
Litter.
well, actually,
it's an abandonment. of-
Alice's restaurant.
we don't know, we don't actually know if the police department cited them or not. Normally, when a truck overturns
Oh, I have
on a
no
roadway and spills oil or gasoline or cement, there is a chapter and section under Mass General Laws for spillage of the load.
Uncontained load, unsecured load.
Unsecured, it could be unsecured as a separate chapter and section, but spillage, just plain spillage, it doesn't allege that it was uncontained or unsecured. If you spilled it, you spilled it. And it's under chapter 85, I don't remember the section. But that would have been the only thing that I would think that the town would have, or should have done at the time if they did it, was write a ticket. I don't know that a ticket was written.
Ticket's not relevant to it.
Oil trucking company have an SPCC since their transportation facility that
should, yeah.
spells out exactly what should happen in this
who
scenario?
they should call, who they're under contract with, yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so start with the letter
Yeah,
to the truck owner.
yep. Just put a period at the end of the last bullet point, instead of a semicolon.
So start there, go to the owner of the vehicle,
Yep.
and then follow the money from there?
Do we give deadlines in which to
She does.
perform?
Well, it said, Al kind of just said, let's just make them do it immediately and just
I-
let the fines be,
I asked Amy to
fire.
make it effective forthwith, because it's been 2 years. No more deadlines.
Do we have lessons learned as a board here? What could we have done to prevent this for next time?
I think we saw this one coming. We saw it right from the get-go.
Right from the beginning.
They were just so not prepared, not on board with what we wanted them to do, they being Clean Harbors. So
The
the
representative-
writing was on the wall
The-
right off the bat, and it was
Yeah.
very adversarial right off the bat.
The licensed site professional,
I was gonna go there.
in my opinion, was completely incompetent.
He might have been under the influence.
Well, we can only.
From the video, and
we
this
can
is
only
not-
guess
this is
because.
my opinion, it looked like he was living in his mom's basement
Correct.
during the Zoom
All right.
calls.
Okay.
So that's.
My
that's-
opinion, it's just opinion.
But we didn't do any investigation into the LSP. We simply trusted that the LSP hired by the insurance company would just get the job done.
well, don't forget, we hired our own, the town
Yeah, I don't
engaged
think we trusted it.
GEIs. Mike Sabulis was, you know.
But we had our own LSP.
Yeah.
And our own LSP and our own environmental,
Yeah.
we had past Camp
Yeah,
also
yeah,
do
yeah.
assessments. We did as much as we could do.
Right.
So there's nothing else we could have done on this one?
I
This
don't-
just sucks?
Does it help
I
us or
think-
does it just cloud the waters further by finding out what the other private property owner has experienced, what they're going through? Do we go after because
There were two private property owners involved. One is at 224
on the
Foster.
left and downstream and upstream, for lack of a better term, right?
One is right, the driveway is like right at the headwaters of the brook. That would be the Goldstein's house at 224.
Mhm.
The other abutter that was impacted used their own personal drone to get up and take
Yeah.
pictures,
I
which
think
we
the
have
day of, yeah.
beautiful aerial pictures taken by them. I don't remember their name, however.
I forget too.
but it would be, I suppose it would be good to CC them all in. If nothing else, we should be CCing them in and saying, hey, this impacts you too, so.
They're an
this-
interested party.
You're an
Oh, yeah,
interested
yeah.
party, this is what we're doing. That would probably be a
That's a
good
good
idea.
point,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Why don't we, what do you think, we just start there, see where it takes us?
Yep,
I think we have a cause for action at some point. We're landowners, and we're the we're victims. And so, at some point, it's gonna get to that, I think.
so I move that we issue the enforcement order as drafted and slightly amended.
Second.
Motion and second, any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's unanimous.
Very good.
All right, thank you. 40 Flagship Drive, status update. We all know what you're gonna say, but we say it anyway.
So, so the commission will recall this is an enforcement situation that involved non-jurisdictional site at 40 Flagship that experienced severe erosion during site work that caused sedimentation into downstream wetlands at 85, 115 Flagship, and 400 Willow. There was a protracted series of enforcement orders that required stabilization of the site. They had to drain the detention basin, which was full of coffee, and filter that water to create capacity. We also ordered them to prepare a restoration plan for the downstream impacted wetlands. All we were able to get out of the violator was stabilization of the site. And then he pretty much fell off the face of the earth and had no more communication or responses to our ongoing enforcement. We issued fines, which are at the tune of $47,000 right now, with no movement. The property went into foreclosure in the fall and was auctioned off, and now a different LLC owns it. I have not engaged with that new owner at all. They haven't really contacted me. I believe I spoke with their attorney over the phone once, and they were aware of the enforcement order that we recorded against the deed that requires them to file a notice of intent for any further work on that site. 85 Flagship stepped up and did their own restoration.
Partially.
Well, yeah, on their property. They cleaned up the wetland that,
I thought it was only part of their property. There was still some more that needed to be restored, it wasn't in
Well, it
their
was
interest to do
beyond-
that back piece.
yeah, it was beyond, but by that time it got to that back piece, you'd be digging up wetland soils just to get.
So it's self-restored.
Yeah, so they got the bulk of it out, and I, reviewed that in September with North Environmental, and I was impressed with the results, actually. They did a really good job. So at this point, all I'm really asking right now for a specific action tonight is just to vote to stop the fines, because they're not doing anything, and I don't have the capacity to keep up with issuing fine tickets every single day.
You're talking about the
And it's
fines
a
against
waste
the
of money
original,
on
the original owner?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so, let's just talk about that
And the
for a second.
fines were for submitting the restoration plan.
Yeah,
So you guys split up the enforcement actions. You're not fining for 40 Flagship per se in terms of, you're just ceasing work and requiring a notice of intent and an order of conditions. So, it can sit there the way it is for as long as, however, we don't care, but they can't do any more work until they have an order of conditions.
So let's
And
take.
that was recorded against the deed.
but let's talk about the fines just for 1 second.
Okay, and
Just-
so the
just-
second, so the other enforcement order was for the restoration plan, the execution of the restoration plan, and though that's what the fines are tied to.
Sure, but they're all tied to the original owner. So,
No,
since-
the tied to the property.
Well, they're tied to the property,
Tied to the
however,
property because it's recorded against the property. Again, I don't want to step out of order here, but it rides with the property, it's on record. They sold it at foreclosure, shame on them, was in the record. Someone bought it at foreclosure, shame on them, was in the record. I would reissue the same enforcement order to the new owner that says,
Demand for
what are
payment.
your intentions of fulfilling your obligations under your acquisition of this property? And we give you date certain of when to file before us. New files will start ticket against him. I mean, we're chasing money on fines at this point. We end up in court and it's gonna wipe them anyway.
we ought to, though. We ought to make a demand for payment and go to court if
At
we
least
have
put,
to.
yeah, put them on notice.
We have to, we should be issuing a demand for payment to both parties. And
Which parties?
Buyer.
the previous owner and the new owner. The
It's
new
just
owner
the
bought it.
property.
But it's the property. It's not confused with responsibility. The enforcement order, the reason why we require it to be recorded is to cloud the deed, to cloud the title.
In fact, they shouldn't have transferred the
The
title.
bottom
No.
fishing,
Okay.
people who buy properties at foreclosure ought to know what the hell they're buying. They bought this problem.
They bought the fines.
They
Oh,
bought the
yeah, I
problem.
mean,
It's like
the
tax-
Put them on
property's
notice.
posted, the
When are you gonna,
property's
when are you gonna,
posted.
when are you gonna pay?
But listen, simply put, the new owner bought it knowing that this was in place.
Knowing that there was an enforcement order
And
that
knowing that
said
there
you
were
can't
fines.
do any work on this
And
property.
also knowing that there were
And if
fines.
there were fines.
No,
Knowing that there were fines.
not necessarily.
Well,
He should
No,
have done
because
his-
we didn't record that order.
what did we record?
We recorded the order that said no work on 40 Flagship until you get an order of conditions.
Amy, I think,
The second
it.
order never got recorded?
And the second order did not get recorded because you didn't.
Because it would have to be
that's-
against
Right,
the other properties.
right.
I still think we rattle some sabers and see what the hell kind of reaction we get from the new owner.
a demand for payment. A demand for payment from both parties.
I think we take,
If you sell me something and I know that you owe money to Sean, you're selling me this piece of paper and Sean owns it,
I don't think you
that rides with it. You know, the thing is, there's a process for collecting unpaid fines. I think, who do you
Well, then
normally deal with
We should
from the
probably
police?
initiate that.
Who do we deal with from the police department on tickets? Who's your contact there?
You would ask me to remember his name, I can't remember his
Okay,
name.
when the next time, you,
Sergeant Bernie,
Is it Bernie?
I think.
I don't know. How about this? Let's make it simple. Contact, with regard to the fines, contact our representative at the police department who goes to court, the court officer.
Okay,
Run the situation by him, say
Okay.
we have a person that has fines owing at X amount of dollars, has sold the property. How do we proceed? Because they'll have a procedure for that. They do it all the time.
okay.
Whether it's excise tax or whatever, they have a procedure.
But typically, we would put on, with Registry of Deeds, that there are fines pending on that property.
We didn't for that particular
I understand,
enforcement
but
order.
typically,
Oh,
if you want to
recording-
ensure that the successor owners pay the fines, does that, something have to be filed with the Registry of Deeds indicating there are fines?
the only mechanism that I know of is actually recording the physical enforcement order against a property.
Yep.
Which we rarely do, only when it's something like this.
Yep.
And the particular enforcement order that we actually recorded against 40 Flagship was just that cease and desist.
Yep, no, I understand.
Get an order.
But it had a
then-
preamble, it explained what the problem was, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so, but I'm still gonna maintain that a buyer or an interested person buying at a foreclosure auction has done his homework, and he would have seen that, and he should have dug deeper and said, what's this all about? And if he had done that, I would suggest that he might have found out there's a second order that also rides with this, not detached, but with this,
yeah.
that is a little bit gray here. What does this mean? I think because he didn't, I think he's taken on some of this responsibility.
I don't know, Joe. I honestly don't know. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah, I
just-
know.
I think, there are certain statutory things you need to do to put successors of interest on notice, and filing with the registry of deeds is generally one of them, and if
Yeah.
that's what you need to do and we didn't do it, then he recognized, he goes, oh, there might be fines on there, and the attorney probably said, don't go looking for it, you don't have to.
Okay, so
It's
let me
not
ask,
registered.
let me ask then, so,
So it's
okay, the new, let's say for the second, the new buyer's off the hook. The original owner's not off the hook just because he sold it.
Correct.
Because the fines are
Right,
against him.
so we,
Yep, correct.
So we
Okay,
send him a
we'll
demand for
find a
payment.
way,
We don't
okay.
care that you sold it.
Yep.
We don't care
Okay.
what you did. We don't care
Okay.
what action.
Yeah,
you
that
took.
does not alleviate him of his
That
obligations.
doesn't take you off the hook.
But
You,
it may put somebody else on the hook with him. and
He-
Question is.
he committed
Okay.
the fine. Let him, and here's the good news. Let him go ahead and request a hearing at the district court.
okay,
Let him do that.
all right.
We're ready.
Okay.
We're ready for trial on that. No problem.
So where Amy asked us to stop the daily
Pardon?
counting of
I think we're
funds.
saying no.
Well, are we saying it's not gonna compound anymore, and we're just gonna
But every
issue
day,
demand for the 47,000?
Yes,
Or are
let's-
we,
We're gonna
Please
go
just
after
do
the
that.
original person.
so we're not gonna
Let's just-
add $100 a day?
No,
and
because
have it written down?
he's
He sold it.
He sold it.
Oh,
So
that
our
makes
fines,
sense.
our fines stop where they are,
Yep,
Yeah.
and we're gonna go
Okay.
after him now. We're gonna,
Okay.
we're gonna get him to a hearing in front of the clerk at district court.
that makes sense.
Sounds good.
There's no other vehicle besides you having to physically write a ticket every day?
it's not criminal
Not-
disposition. That's what it takes.
Thought it was 2025.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
The administrative burden's not worth
It-
the fine.
Awful. And it costs us money every time we mail
gonna-
it, 'cause we have
we're
to
gonna-
mail
we're
it
gonna get
60
somebody
million
to-
different ways.
I'll let you handle this motion, I don't know.
He's afraid to go to court, isn't he?
I'll go.
No, he's probably afraid to show up.
No, he'll show.
All right.
He'll show because
So
he's.
do you need a motion?
He'll
Yeah.
show because he's caught.
To cease fines at $47,100 and
Make it-
authorize me to
Make a demand
engage
for
with our hearing officer to start the process of taking him to court for payment.
Set up a hearing at the district court.
Yep.
And I think at the
Yep.
same time, send him a demand for payment.
So this is a motion to cease any future fines on the property.
Well,
As well as-
against the old owner.
Yes, against the old owner. Well, time out, are we still doing, I mean, it's not against the old owner. Are we ceasing fines, or are we
I'm
not
just
ceasing fines?
ceasing fines,
Exactly.
period. Just
Period.
ceasing
She doesn't want
fines
to keep doing this, she's losing,
and,
you know.
and leaving,
I get
leaving
it.
it
I-
at $47,100.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, yeah.
That's-
I don't need to put in the amount, because this is just a motion. So
Okay.
the motion is to cease any future fines on the property and to take collection actions on the owner at the
Collection
time of the
Yes.
violation.
Okay.
Okay, understood
Yep.
that.
Second that motion.
Understood that. Okay, motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is
So I think the
unanimous.
second part of that conversation,
The
this is where we
second part is the new owner now.
a new owner.
We have a new owner now.
Issue an enforcement order to him,
Yeah,
restating everything.
Yeah.
And stop the fines ticking today.
or I would, let me just suggest restating
And
everything.
calling them in first. Let them,
Have them make contact.
I would-
Have them make,
Yeah, call
no,
them in
don't
first.
start any fines. Just have the new owner make contact, because the enforcement order still is not complied with.
That's what I wanted to know, what's not complied with.
they haven't filed the NOI.
They haven't
The
filed the
restoration.
NOI.
Okay, there it is.
And the
But-
restoration plans.
No. So we were gonna require restoration under an enforcement order, not a notice of intent. We're requiring a notice of intent for any further activity or construction on the site.
We have a no trespass order in effect right now for that hill.
Yes, it's posted. Well, it's a no, it's a cease.
So one of the things I think.
Cease and desist.
So one of the things I
Order.
think we need to do is we need to restate that to the new owner.
Okay.
That this cease and desist order applies to you in spite of the fact that you're the new owner,
Where are
Okay.
they supposed to cease and desist?
all activities.
Anything, so they can't use
All
the
act, they
site.
can't even move, they can't
No,
go
they
move a
can't.
blade of grass.
They're not doing anything anyways, right?
Well, we don't
No.
know,
So
we don't know, they
maybe you
bought
guys
it,
don't understand that
they bought it
the
at
site
auction.
proper, the developer's property proper was outside of
Outside
jurisdiction.
jurisdiction.
And they had a bunch of construction activity they were doing under a planning board permit. But by virtue of poor housekeeping on their construction site, created a very
It became
unstable
jurisdiction.
condition that basically created a landslide inundating, the street, the sewer system, the local drain, and two private property wetlands downstream. So the impacts are offstream, but now because of the impacts and the origin of those impacts, we exercise, and we can under the statute, we exercise jurisdiction of his entire site, obligating him to file an NOI for his future construction activities and stabilization on his
Right.
site,
And the
which has now
downstream,
become jurisdiction.
and the downstream
Did
properties.
we have a
too.
date on that?
Downstream
filing?
properties.
We do.
File NOI by blankety
Nope.
blank? So
Nope.
how are they in violation? How's the new owner in violation?
Well,
Oh, we
it's, I
did.
guess it's not violation, it's just, what's your intentions?
Okay, but I heard issuing fines to the new owner. I
No,
heard
that's
come
not
up
gonna
as well.
happen.
No, we just said.
No, we're not doing that.
Okay.
What I said was, we have to restate to the new owner the violation notice, the cease and desist. The new owners, in my opinion, would be responsible for filing the notice of intent for the affected properties downstream, the impacted properties downstream that the original owner was supposed to restore, right?
Yep,
Yep.
That would, the new owner should still be on hook for that.
Yeah, well, we should make a new enforcement order then, concerning the new owner, and put a deadline on that.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is we need to deal with the main site, and I still think we need to address the two off-site impacts. Two separate
Yeah.
orders, or maybe do it all into one. I don't know the answer to that.
no, I don't either.
Restoration is restoration affecting two private
Right.
victims.
Right,
Because the site itself is stable right now,
right.
as long as they stay off it and don't do anything.
It's not much different than Hilton Oil, you know? It's just stuff that was not on the property, that was placed on the property, and that was
Yeah.
caused conservation issues.
When the previous owner, my memory is, when we were dealing with the previous owner, what we wanted him to do was file a notice of intent to stabilize and restore the downstream properties that were impacted by the mudslide, yes?
Originally, we wanted a notice of intent for everything. Work on 40 flagship plus restoration. We weren't getting very far with the notice of intent. So we decided to split up two EOs, saying,
Yeah.
okay, no work on 40 flagship.
We put a cease and
then
desist
let's,
on 40.
You know, let's deal with the restoration separately and make it be an activity that's under an EO instead of an order of conditions.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
Which makes more sense.
I remember directing them to go to the affected parties downstream from their property, where the mud
Yeah.
slid.
Yep.
That's what we wanted them to do an NOI on. We gave them a cease and desist on the
It
actuals.
originally, yes,
Yeah.
but then we said, you know what, let's NOI for the site, EO for the
That's what I'm
restoration.
saying, there still was an EO, there still is the original EO ordering,
Restoration plan and restoration
that was the
execution.
second, I don't wanna, I'm getting confused here. The very first time there was an impact, we issued an enforcement order for the landslide, the mudslide.
right.
We issued it to 40 flagship.
Yes,
And we told him, cease and desist, stabilize, file a notice of intent for your site, because we are now
Yes.
exerting jurisdiction.
jurisdiction,
So there is a requirement for that site to file an NOI.
Yes.
It hasn't been done. There's the violation.
By when?
Which
we
site?
didn't give it, we
Which site,
didn't.
the main site?
Date?
That's what I'm saying.
No,
I thought we always gave dates.
well, no, I mean,
Well, they're not gonna do it, they weren't doing anything. Well, all we wanted them to do was stabilize the site at the time.
that's right. And do we honestly care if it ever gets developed? If it stays stable and regrows?
Well,
I don't know.
What,
I-
that's what you're
I
gonna put
mean-
there.
I mean, yeah.
Amy,
Outside
Amy,
of
the guy
any
that,
buffer zone,
the guy that
It's
bought it,
not in the buffer.
the guy that bought it at auction didn't buy it just to stabilize it.
yeah.
I know that,
They're gonna come in with some kind of a plan,
sure.
and we're gonna have to fight for our NOI, because they're gonna go to the planning board for a special permit.
Fight, why? It's recorded against their
Didn't stop them from
their
buying.
deed.
We're spinning our wheels.
Yeah,
We had an
let's-
opportunity to be
I
out of
know-
here
I
early
know,
tonight.
We
right?
had
I know.
record-breaking time going.
We were doing good.
Right.
I think the simple thing is we should probably reissue whatever we have issued, reissue to the same guy. But at this time around, be very clear that under the prior ownership, this was the order, but now we are giving you a date certain of which to perform these things. And I think we lay it right out to the new owner, and he's gonna say, what the hell, and he's gonna come in and talk to us. At that point, we'll open up a dialogue and negotiate what ultimately becomes a real enforcement order that he's willing to do, and we get this thing done. Because he may go to the planning board and start the process all over again, thinking he's out of our jurisdiction. unless we
Well-
remind him that he's not.
That's up to us. We sent a letter to the planning board, yes, asking them to revoke the special
Yeah,
permit?
yeah.
And did they?
No.
No.
They didn't.
Well, because they didn't see their legal ability to do so.
The legal ability would have been the damage that was caused by the original application.
Now, I know, so you have the prior owner and the current owner. I would recommend an amended enforcement order to the current owner. Like you said, it's putting in the old one that you cannot build,
Yeah.
blah, 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 that you, and put in a date certain now for restoration or for an NOI.
So it's restored,
All right.
it's stable.
Okay, I'm not-
Because that's where our last enforcement order failed, because we did not have a date to complete the work by.
Well, what work do we want them to complete? The NOI downstream? We don't care.
No NOI for restoration. Enforcement order.
Okay.
On 40 Flagship.
It's 40 Flagship doesn't require anything right now.
That's the first, that's what, we keep spinning our wheels here. We issued the first enforcement order, which stated that we have now exerted our jurisdiction on your site because of the downstream impacts to resource areas directly attributed to your site. We cited the state law that allows us to do that. Though you're more than 100 feet away, you have a situation that's created an impact, therefore, we made your whole site now jurisdictional, and you must
Right.
file an NOI on 40 Flagship.
Right.
Step one, that's the first thing we did. And then we got into the whole downstream second enforcement order. But they were deliberately separated.
Separate, yes.
But not requiring the downstream restoration to do anything more than comply with the enforcement order.
And that NOI would have been for regarding any future work done out there? Or, because I remember there was a lot of stabilization that went on
Right.
under the enforcement order.
Yes.
We weren't looking for any stabilization under this upcoming proposed
It would
NOI.
be future work.
No, it would-
Because it would
How
be
we
future
would
work.
regulate
Yeah,
future
okay,
work.
yeah,
It would
yeah.
be future work because
I
initially,
take back an NOI back.
initially it was
Sorry.
non-jurisdictional.
Got it.
Remember, it wasn't jurisdictional in the beginning.
Yeah, no, I understand.
That's how they got up.
Yep.
Do you think we could start with the new owner with a letter asking his attendance?
Sure.
And then if he blows us off, then we can say, okay, now we'll issue an enforcement. I think maybe
Yeah, sure, sure.
let's
Yeah.
Yeah.
start that.
Send a letter.
All right,
Start with a letter.
all right. Okay, all right. All right, so that's what we'll do.
All right, so, any motions required, or will you?
No, you guys already made motions to stop
All right.
fining, and
Yes.
I will contact
Collections.
collections.
Okay.
And then I will write the new owner a letter
Yep,
asking them to attend.
perfect. Thank you.
All right.
All right, last thing on there is Windrush Farm hunting regulations. We can talk about it, or we can talk about it another time.
Well, I guess I just need guidance, but maybe if we want, maybe a subcommittee or a couple of, like you and Jack, and I could set up a site visit with,
I would recommend that Jack be the point man,
okay,
because he was for the original project.
That's fair enough.
He was the guy that did the site visits, he set up the overlay mapping, he really,
okay,
he was assigned, quite frankly, assigned to Windrush Farm.
okay,
And
All right.
I'm sure his memory is better than mine
All right.
on this.
all right, so I'll work with Jack on that,
So,
to wrap our heads around it, and then we'll report back to you guys, because
okay,
there was a lot of requirements that I didn't understand how they were supposed to really logistically happen.
we can fix it.
Okay,
We don't have horse hunting in very many parts of our city or town, so
Right,
it's very
okay.
unusual.
All right, so we'll just take it off the agenda for now, and I'll work with Jack, and we'll put it back on when we have a clue.
Okay, motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. We stand adjourned.